Hey guys, your captain is back.
Hey,
So a few months ago, I made a video ranking the season openers in the Amazing World of Gumball. And as I promised, today I'll be ranking all the season finales in this show. So there's no reason to wait any longer. Let's go!
Looks like your face-to-face turned into more of a face-to-fist.
The fight is the final episode of season 1. It's not a bad episode per se, and in a way, it makes sense that it's not as ambitious compared to what's coming up, but compared to the other episodes in this ranking, it just can't compete. It's very funny, but it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out compared to the other episodes in this list. We start this episode with Gumball telling Anais what he did during his day at school with Tina Rex, a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex who lives in a junkyard, but Anais thinks that Gumball's being bullied and immediately phones Tina. This quickly backfires when Tina gets angry and wants to have a fight with Gumball on the very next day at 4 p.m. So Gumball tries to find someone to give him reliable advice to stand up to Tina, but throughout the whole episode, nothing works. Gumball's dad Richard gives him advice to stand up to bullies, who just amounts to giving in to the bullies. Then, Gumball asks Mr. Small for advice, but he immediately abandons Gumball upon learning that Tina's the one bullying him.
Don't tell her you saw me!
wait a minute. Mr. Small has shown to be interested in Buddhist teachings in several episodes, like The Job, where we learn he has been trying to fast like Buddha did. So why does he do that? Abandoning someone to their fate out of pure fear instead of finding a peaceful solution is clearly against Buddhist teachings.
Anais then tries to help Gumball with an inspiring speech, but she ends up forgetting what she was doing it in the first place.
We can also stop global warming! And bring peace to the world!
So then, Darwin makes a suit of armor for Gumball. He tries to attack it to test it, but which immediately destroys it. And before they can find another idea, Gumball is forced to go to the fight, as everyone is cheering for it to happen.
Wait, why are Penny and Egan cheering? Penny loves Gumball and would do anything to avoid him getting hurt, and Egan's pathetic nature makes this completely out of character for him.
So yeah, I think you understood the problem with this episode. I don't like to be that guy, but this is kind of Gumball torture, as most characters are being jerks to him. Anais completely forgets why she was trying to help him halfway through the episodes. Banana Joe scoffs him as Tina Rex chases him. The other students cheer for the fight. Even Gumball's girlfriend Penny, who realistically would do anything to have this fight cancelled so her boyfriend doesn't get hurt, and Mr. Small just abandons Gumball, who's being chased by a fucking dinosaur out of fear. This results in a serious eye injury that could have very well been avoided if someone other than Darwin actually helped him. Literally all the other students are jerks to him. They abandoned him to this fate, even though we're talking about a T-Rex here, and it ends up becoming really hard to watch. Then, Gumball's mother Nicole goes to the junkyard where Tina lives to go into her dad's room and fight him. Meanwhile, Gumball and Tina finally make up. Tina says that she thought they were just having fun, before expressing frustration that everyone thinks she's a brute. Therefore, Gumball and Tina become friends, and the episode ends with Gumball confirming that everything's okay between them.
So everything's okay between you and Tina?
Yep. Everything's just fine.
This could have been a cute ending, but it's ruined by the biggest poison in any episodic show. The way the writer decided to make this a one-off change in the show, which happens a lot in shows like this. In the following episodes, Tina goes back to being a one-note bully. So this makes this whole episode feel useless, as the conflict ends up not having any importance on the characters' personalities. And it's not like it had to be this way. Even though Gumball is an episodic cartoon, in the rerun at the end, you can still feel that Rob cares more about Gumball and kind of sees him as a friend after what happened in this episode. Here, You feel like a progression has been made in these episodes. The fight is an episode where the ending seems to show a true progression, only to completely retcon its own conflict with the seasons that follow. Plus, it doesn't really feel special or climactic as a finale due to this. The helmet, with its much more intense atmosphere and a climax where Gumball almost dies and struggles to drop that helmet that's implied to control him, with the epic music with the end of that scene, would have been a much better finale. In contrast, the fight just feels underwhelming compared to what's coming next.
Daisy the Donkey, the video game. If boredom didn't put you into a coma during the show, then this game will finish the job.
The Disaster is the finale of Season 4, and I'm not gonna spend as much time on this episode as with the others. The reason why is very simple. We already talked about the sequel, the rerun, in the previous video, and these episodes are very similar. In this episode, Rob finds a magic remote in a red minivan. He decides to use it to take revenge on Gumball by destroying him and everyone he loves. He makes floating subtitles appear near Gumball so Darwin thinks his brother hates him. He makes Gumball's parents argue and break up by removing the parental filter of the show, and he makes it that Gumball looks like he's kissing Sarah so Penny thinks he's cheating on her. Then Rob reveals why he did this. He wanted to be the hero of this show, but Gumball being the hero means Rob is forced to be the villain, and he hates this. So then, Gumball and Rob have a fight. Unlike in the sequel, Gumball loses and falls into the void, a place where all the mistakes of the universe are condemned to stay in forever. But he manages to grab that remote to rewind time so he can have a chance to fix all of this, and the story continues in the rerun, which is the first episode of Season 5. So this is a good episode, with a fun concept, good jokes, and an amazing premise. But this is done better in the rerun, and after the first watch, when you watch these episodes again back to back, the Disaster ends up feeling like a warm-up for the rerun, especially since in the second part, there's also a twist that the Disaster doesn't have, and that elevates this idea with the remote to its fullest potential. So yeah, a good episode, but not one that's good enough on its own to watch it without also watching the rerun.
I've been in prison heaps of times. They put you in, then straight away you're just not in there anymore.
Finale, which is not the finale of the original show but rather the finale of Season 2, is already a big step up compared to what came before, with a genius concept that was honestly begging to be satirized through all these years. You know how, usually in TV shows like SpongeBob SquarePants or The Amazing World of Gumball, the characters basically always manage to get their way in some manner in the end, and they always start the next episode as if what took place in the previous one never happened? Well, the finale, which is the last episode of Season 2, and also the last episode featuring Gumball and Darwin's original voice actors, managed to completely turn this pattern you see in every cartoon on its head. This episode starts with the Watersons looking at their pictures in the family album, which are actually callbacks to previous episodes, like the first one, which is a callback to The Responsible. That's already a great way to hint at what's gonna be at stake in this episode, because suddenly, Mrs. Jotunheim rings the bell. She tells Richard that the Watersons have a huge debt to pay due to how Gumball and Darwin previously angered her son Hector, which is a giant, which set him on a rampage that destroyed a big part of the city. This is a callback to a previous episode as well, that episode being the Colossus. And since in the lore, Gumball's whole universe is a show, the genius idea is that most of the Watersons can't even grab the concept of their past actions having consequences in the future. And then, this continues. The principal of Gumball and Darwin's school announces they're gonna have to restart school from kindergarten as they didn't learn enough during their previous school years. And then, Richard finds out he's gonna have to pay fines due to reckless driving. Then, the Watersons try to find ways to easily repair their past actions in one day, but this time, nothing works as they learn to face consequences for their actions the hard way. That's the genius aspect of this episode. Throughout the whole series, the Wattersons got used to getting their own way and they suddenly have to learn that their actions have consequences.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Watterson, but this is the Justice Department, not the I'm sure everything will be okay if we just sweep it under the carpet and forget about it department. You're gonna have to pay the money.
While Nicole and Anais can't find any ways to fix this problem without paying the dollars they don't have, Gumball, Darwin, and Richard try to have Gumball and Darwin dress up as Allen and Bobbert, while Richard dresses up as a lady, which is a plan that backfires and lands them in jail. Then, Nicole and Anais get a sentence too, because Nicole destroys the door of Larry's shop even though he's got a restraining order on the Wattersons. Then, another genius idea, the Wattersons learn that sometimes there won't be a Deus Ex Machina to save them.
Hold on, that's alright. I'm sure some unforeseen detail that usually gets us off the hook is gonna pop up right now.
Wattersons, you're free!
Yes!
To remain silent, otherwise no dinner tonight!
So after waiting without anything saving them, the Wattersons decide to take things in their own hands and break out of prison. Then, Anais has another idea to fix everything.
Up until now, every bad situation has gotten worse and worse until it's somehow just fixed itself. There's only one solution left.
What is it?
Everyone take a problem part ways and produce a problem more problematic than a problem of that proportion should probably be.
Huh?
Just do what you do best. Make things worse.
Wait, that's stupid. During the whole episode, the Wattersons had to face things without having the usual Deus Ex Machinas to save them at the last moment. And Anais really thinks that this will be any different?
While Richard and Anais decide to free Kenneth, a gross jar creature that previously turned into a giant monster, Nicole goes to Hector's place and purposely offends him to set him on a rampage again.
And finally, tell your mom that she has so many warts that her face spells ugly in Braille.
In the climax, things get worse and worse. The two giants end up starting a fight that destroys a lot of buildings and sets the town on fire. They go back home, but the whole town goes after them. They try to hold them back, but it becomes obvious that they won't be able to survive from much longer. They lose hope, and then...
The only thing that can save us is reality being completely reset by some kind of magic device!
Yep, the episode suddenly cuts. This is what Gumball said could save them. Think about it. When an episode of an episodic series ends and we go to the next one, things always reset, and we start the next one as if nothing happens in the previous one. A great example is the Spongehenge episode from SpongeBob SquarePants.
Also known as the writer's buried his quiet depression.
At the end, SpongeBob discovers that Bikini Bottom has been destroyed, but in the next episode, Band in Bikini Bottom, everyone's back in shape at the Krusty Krab without any explanation. So in a way, Gumball got what he wanted. The universe resetted. So having an episode like the finale that actually has the idea to show the consequences of the characters' actions feels really refreshing, and instead of being overly pessimistic, the episode has a lot of different ways to make fun of common TV show tropes and to turn them on their head in its own way. The finale is a hilarious episode from start to finish, with its amazing premise and its different hilarious jokes. And the best part about all of this is that it's only number 4 on this list.
My heart is in my mouth, although, judging by the taste, it may be my lower intestine.
And look at that! After talking about the episode named the finale, we talk about the actual finale of the original Gumball show, the Inquisition, the last episode of season 6, which was, for about 6 years, the last ounce of content we ever got in the Amazing World of Gumball, not counting things like the Gumball Chronicles or Darwin's Yearbook. As series finales go, this is a pretty controversial one, especially since this is one of those finales that end in a cliffhanger. The majority of series finales that end their show like this are often either controversial and divisive, or outright disliked by the fans of this show, and the Inquisition isn't an exception. Some people love it for its unique ideas, and some people hate it for that cliffhanger.
I love apocalypse scenarios in my cartoon shows.
So what is this finale about? Well, We start this episode with Principal Brown running around the school and checking every room in a panic, asking each employee and the teachers about whether the library is up to date, whether the food is up to the norms, and what are their work references. We quickly discover why. The school superintendent, who's a little live-action man named Evil, is coming. He's very unsatisfied with the current state of the school.
This school and its students is in breach of every conceivable rule, including the rules of decency.
He imposes an authoritarian system on the school with no rights to disagree with him or to question his methods. And then we see the true genius in this episode. He wants to get his school rid of anything that is in breach of his rule, and you quickly see that this means removing what makes these characters what they are. This is a perfect way to make a finale, as throughout this show, we saw all the things that made each character unique, from Alan being a balloon to Terry being made of paper, and the rules that Evil enforces makes their mere existence breach these rules. And I love that hero commentary about the mere concept of normality for a person, as oftentimes each one of us have very specific criteria to determine what's normal and what's not normal. And sometimes things like bigotry make it questionable on whether it's really something good, because for some people, the only way to be normal in their eyes will be to erase what you are, and this is perfectly showcased in that scene with William.
Now get to class. No, the normal way.
During this whole part, William desperately tries to open the door without using his psychic powers, even though that's painful for him. He ends up repeatedly hurting himself just to appear normal to Evil. The episode then takes a more scary turn. Suddenly, Masami comes into the classroom, but in human form. Upon seeing her, Gumball and Darwin freak out and immediately run away as they understand that something's going on. Then, we see Evil turn the human characters into actual live-action humans after Gumball and Darwin stumbled upon more characters in human forms. Evil calls that fixing them, in a way that almost sounds like a satire of live-action remakes in like the 2017 version of Beauty and the Beast, where the choice to make the movie live-action alone makes it lose a lot of its identity, as characters like Masami, Alan, or Bobbert would obviously lose all their charm too if they were live-action humans with realistic human properties. So Gumball and Darwin decide to change them back with another genius idea that fits this satire. The cure is literally to imitate the character whom you're trying to transform back. Then there's another really funny moment with Gumball and Evil preparing to fight until Evil runs away. However, Banana Joe manages to make him slip by throwing his pill on his way. So we discover that Evil was just Rob in a mask, which is already a cool twist. But there is something more.
You fools! I did all this for a reason! Don't you understand what's going on in Elmore? You have two choices. Live in ignorance about what's gonna happen here, or listen to what I have to say. It might just save your lives.
Rob clearly knows that something's about to happen in Elmore, but Tina knocks him out before he can say anything more. I honestly think that it would have been perfect if they ended it here, and that fans would like this episode more, because it still gives us some dark implications with this finale, but also with a more open ending and more room for mystery and speculation. But instead, Rob wakes up during the night and the ground seemingly starts to collapse, letting him fall into the void as he says this to end the original show.
Oh no, it started.
So yeah, that's the last episode of the original Gumball series, and I understand why this frustrated many fans. Ending the show on a cliffhanger like this that lets you expect that all of this is gonna end in an apocalyptic way can often make the finale either too scary, too dark, or just straight up depressing. That's why changing nature from dinosaurs is so infamous after all, even though it got some defenders that claim that the episode is actually honest about climate change and that it doesn't fall in which they call wishful thinking. But honestly, even if I'm not too big on the Inquisition's cliffhanger, if you take that out and focus on everything else in the episode, you get a really great finale. The premise, with turning the characters into humans, is not only a great way to incorporate live-action human characters in the show, but also a great satire of what people deem as normal, and how sometimes this ends up with them trying to suppress what makes a person that person, to make them what is their vision of someone perfect, and also a good satire of how live-action remakes of animated movies often end up taking a lot of the original identity out of the original work. The jokes in this episode are really good too, using a lot from the material that the premise gives us. Evil is also a fun, fake character. Yeah, I said fake because technically he's Rob in disguise, and Gary Kagan does a really good job acting as him. In conclusion, in spite of that frustrating cliffhanger, The Inquisition is still a great episode, and one that I'd often rewatch regularly. The season 3 finale, The Money, is a perfect way to subvert a common trope in movies and TV shows that focus on relatable situations in a comedic or dramatic way, while adding the Gumball charm to it and giving us an unforgettable adventure. The Wattersons have decided to eat a Joyful Burger, their favorite fast food restaurant in Elmore. Everything seems to be going well, but when Gary scans the Wattersons' credit card, it turns out that there isn't any money of it. And already, the reason why they suddenly lost all their money is plain hilarious.
Like I said, I put it offshore. But not before converting it into gold.
Wow, he did it heroically. Hate to blame this on Nicole, but if she was casually giving Richard the access to all the Watterson's savings, then it was only a matter of time until something like this would happen.
Especially since he's so incompetent in the workforce that just him managing to complete a task on his job would cause the end of the world. But yet, due to this, the family is completely broke. Fortunately, this is the perfect timing, as Gary has enough of them to help them. He was about to film a commercial for Joyful Burger, and the Wattersons are apparently the perfect actors for this. But Gumball suddenly refuses, as he's in a phase of extreme anti-capitalism.
We're the Wattersons, and we don't sell out.
What's that?
I symbolically burned it, because I'm not allowed to use a real lighter.
But during the night, Gumball sees that the fridge is empty and surely understands what it means to be broke.
So he's freaking 12 and can understand that you will end up in starvation when you don't have any money? Bruh. Also, there are literally 2 boxes of cereal on top of the fridge. I mean, it's not much, but it's better than nothing. Also, you're gonna tell me that they emptied the fridge in a few hours between lunchtime and bath time, or—
Okay, Rookie, this is not CinemaSins. Despite this, Gumball still clings on to the desire to keep the Wattersons' prides intact and to not sell out. During that part of the episode, the family is clearly struggling without being able to afford food, furniture, or electricity, but Gumball still tries to convince Darwin, Richard, Nicole, or Anais that dignity is more important than money and that they should not be sellouts. There are a lot of great jokes in this episode, taking advantage of a nice subversion of these classic dramatic plots where the main characters go broke.
Don't worry, honey. It's just our stuff getting repossessed by these low-life, bottom-feeding, undereducated, unhygienic, slimy, no-neck, toxic, triple-chinned, oxygen-wasting, crude, gutless, foul-smelling, buck-toothed, corrupt, felonious, disgraceful, disease-ridden, bow-legged, yellow-bellied, backstabbing, ghoulish, vulgar, despicable, worm-headed, worthless stains!
I'm only doing my job. Why are you so mean?
And then, as all their stuff gets repossessed, Gumball is still desperately trying to convince the family not to sell out, which results in an amazing song about imagination. Songs about the concept of imagination might come across as repetitive after so many movies and kid shows using it, but this episode manages to make a refreshing twist of it. The first great idea is Gumball saying imaginate instead of imagine, going for that funny joke with nice.
Gumball, imaginate is not a word. Imaginate is still not a word. Darn it, I said imaginate.
Then, the whole family being skeptical of Gumball's way of saying things only makes it even funnier. But the best moment is when his whole family imagines him getting attacked. That's a bit out of character for them, but still, in kid shows, when one guy tells the characters to use their imagination, they actually get to do creative stuff and have some fun. So the family going against Gumball is a really funny contrast. Then, the Watersons try to convince Gumball that advertising can be done in a more subtle way without saying out, or to do it in another country, but he still isn't convinced. Of course, they end up losing their house. But then, we get one of the best scenes in any animated show ever. Gumball suddenly loses all of his colors, and the Watersons don't understand what's happening. Then, Anais' mouth doesn't sync well with what she's actually saying anymore, and Darwin starts resembling a crude drawing from a child. Gumball understands. The whole world is falling apart now that they don't have any money. Because I gotta remind you that this whole universe is a show, and without money, a show has no budget for animation, music, paying actors, or anything else. So they have to run to the Joyful Burger restaurant before Elmore completely disappears. This is one of the best fourth wall breaks in any show ever. 6 years before, Chowder had a similar joke in the episode Shopping Spree, but this scene just cranks it up to 11. During that whole part, the Watersons must rush to the city to save their universe, but eventually they all lose their colors and are reduced to non-animated moving 2D models. Rocky starts glitching, the 3D models of Elmore are reduced to rough polygons, the music becomes more and more simplistic, the boss starts glitching and it's not over yet. They're then reduced to basic storyboards, then to crude drawings on post-its. This scene is absolute genius, with that perfect way to take advantage of how this whole universe is a show, and there are so many references to how TV shows like this are made behind the scenes, but in an actual episode instead of a making of video like most shows and movies do, which makes it even cooler.
Then hurry up before it's too late.
Finally, they go to Joyful Burger. They all signed a contract restoring Elmore to its normal self to agree to do the commercial, and after Gary finally convinces Gumball to do that commercial, they start filming it to earn their money. And this commercial is a great way to parody overly cheesy fast food brand commercials featuring a family with children enjoying a meal, with the jokes that are on the dad humor level, the way everyone's problems literally evaporates upon eating at the fast food, and even the jingle. This episode ends with that little commercial. The money is absolutely fantastic. Everything about it works perfectly. The plot does a good job at subverting realistic or broke stories in dramas and turning them on the head. The various jokes are absolutely hilarious. The song Imaginate is really catchy and fun. Gumball not wanting to sell out is also a really funny running gag. But the best part of this episode is of course that ending. This scene is absolute genius, and it may be the best fourth wall break I've ever seen in any media. This entire scene feels so chaotic and fun, and there's a lot of great jokes that come from it. This is an amazing way to wrap up season 3, but the best part is there's still one season finale that I like the best.
Remind me to apologize to Anais' dolls. They're right next to my underpants drawer. They've seen a lot.
The Puppets. The season 5 finale. The Puppets is, simply put, not only everything you need for a perfect finale, but it may also be in the top 5 best episodes in the whole show, with its amazing parody, its chilling atmosphere, and its epic lore. This one starts with Gumball and Darwin trying to clean their attic and choose the old toys they want to keep and the ones that Nicole will give away. Gumball finds a box that contains 3 puppets that they call Grady, Frank, and Howdy. Darwin immediately wants to play with them, but Gumball isn't too keen on the idea, thinking that they are too old to play with toys and dolls, leading to that fucking roast.
Playing never goes out of date. Playing with dolls means you'll never go out on a date.
He literally kissed Carrie in the same season.
So after Gumball goes away, he starts playing with 2 of the puppets, Frank and Howdy, which he pretended to put in Gumball's bag. He talks to the puppets and starts to act like they're actual people that aren't just him speaking through them. But then he makes a promise. He will always love them and never take them off his hands.
Yeah, he was already kind of fucked with that last promise.
During the day, Darwin talks to other people with these puppets and tries to hide them from Gumball. Soon, it looks like Darwin's not even in control of these toys. When Darwin's taking a bath, things escalate. Gumball enters in the bathroom, so he tries to hide the puppets in the water, but they can't hold their breath and they come out. Gumball tries to tell Darwin that the puppets are just toys, but then Darwin completely loses control of the puppets, who possess his hands and make him hit Gumball without being able to stop. He actually has to fight those puppets, so he has to throw these puppets in the trash can. However, Darwin knows they're alive, and we're soon gonna understand that he was right to be worried. But first, let's talk about the first half of this episode a bit before we move on to the actual meat and potatoes. While it's obviously not as epic as what's gonna come soon, it does a good job at instilling a tense atmosphere in the episode. Darwin looks like he's having fun with the puppets at first, but with the cafeteria scene and especially the part in the bathroom, you can feel that something's not right. And this is confirmed during the night. Frank and Howdy wake up in the trash can during the night and come back of it to go back to Darwin. Then they make noise to wake Gumball up. To lure him, they destroy his game console. Upon asking Darwin what he did, he understands that the puppets were alive and that he's not in control anymore. So to save him, he decides to put Grady, the last puppet, on his hand. He starts talking and offers to take Gumball to his world by shaking his hand. He accepts and enters the imagination world. I think some of you might have understood what all of this was building up to. Yep, this whole episode is a tribute to one of the best and most famous web series of all time, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. In fact, the writers of that web series even worked on this episode. For short, this web series is about 3 puppets, Yellow Guy, Duck, and Red Guy, who are kind of trapped in a universe that looks like a kid show. In each episode, a teacher comes and teaches the puppets about things like creativity, time, jobs, or even transport. These lessons always take a disturbing and morbid turn sooner or later, and even before that usual horrific twist, each episode has a disturbing side to its atmosphere. This web series got so popular, it got a sequel in the form of a TV show, and both the web series and TV show got 6 episodes that are both really popular. Becky Sloan, a voice actor and one of the 2 writers for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, who voiced characters like Sketchbook, Stan Edwards, or Eric Tracy, and Baker Terry, another important voice actor for the show who voiced characters like Doc, Yellow Guy, Warren the Eagle, Tony the Talking Clock, or Steak, both came back to voice the puppets in this episode. Baker Terry voiced Frank and Grady, while Baker Sloan voiced Howdy. And when you know the voices of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared characters I mentioned, you can clearly hear resemblances with the 3 characters.
He made a promise never to abandon us. Wow, I'd like to be as smart as a computer.
He can't. He lives in our world now. Whoa there, friend, you might need to slow down.
If that worried you, sir, I advise you not to look down.
That's your body. Hungry comes from your body.
And then Gumball and Grady start traveling in this imaginary world, based on everything that Gumball and Darwin imagined when they were LARPing as kids. Even this sequence feels like a Don't Hug Me I'm Scared episode. This whole world really looks like the World of Love where Yellow Guy goes in the third episode of the web series, as Trigonote tries to brainwash him so he joins their love cult. The Tree of Permanent Happiness even sounds like a homage to that tree character that is present in the third episode of Don't Hug Me I'm Scared. We then see Frank and Howdy in their house, who are forcing Darwin to play while singing a song about how they will never stop having fun here. This part also feels right out of Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, the way everything in the house feels off, the curse hearings, or even these weird interruptions.
You did it wrong with that first cake.
And even the fact that this whole song is focused on the idea of having fun, which reminds you of the teacher's lessons in Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, which are based on concepts that can be material, like computers or transport, but also more abstract, like creativity, love, or friendship. This part doesn't just feel like they picked a show that was trendy and made a semi-condescending parody of it. It really feels like a true homage to Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, a treat for the fans of this web series and show, and a way for the people who never watched it to discover it. In fact, I was part of them. I got into Don't Hug Me I'm Scared thanks to this episode, and upon rewatching it, seeing the way the writers captured the essence of this show in this sequence makes it even more fun to watch. But then, during the song, Gumball enters the house to save Darwin. Grady reveals that all of this was a trap for Gumball, so that he would get stuck in that world with Darwin. Then, Grady, Frank, and Darwin grab the two characters to turn them into puppets, making them swap roles. This whole sequence, albeit short, is a masterpiece too. The chilling music, the dark color palette, the tense atmosphere, the way everything looks hopeless.
Even though we know Nicole would have saved them anyway.
This part is, with the joy, one of the scariest moments in the Amazing World of Gumball. While Gumball and Darwin were having fun with the puppets, Grady, Frank, and Howdy really want to see them suffer, making this whole part even scarier. Fortunately, Darwin manages to grab a string from Grady, then pulls it to remove his arm, forcing him to drop his victims. He manages to run away with Gumball, severely damaging the puppets in the process. Then, they both realize that all of this is imaginary, completely destroying this world and bringing them back to their own world. The episode ends with Gumball and Darwin both confirming to Nicole that they're okay with her giving away their old toys, as we see Grady attacking Billy. So yeah, that's the puppets. And this was the perfect way to end season 5. Everything with it flows perfectly. The first half of this episode isn't as exciting as the second half, but it does a very good job at making the viewer feel more tense, as we quickly start to understand that something isn't right. And that second half is some of the best content that the show has ever given us. This is a true love letter to Don't Hug Me I'm Scared and all of the fans of these franchises. It truly feels like an episode of that show, with the unsettling atmospheres that replicate kids' shows in a disturbing way, the song that sounds kid-friendly but that deliberately gives us cursed lyrics and interruption that make the whole thing sound disturbing, the puppets that give similar vibes to the teachers in Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, while being voiced by the voice actors of this show too. If you're a fan of Don't Hug Me I'm Scared, this is really fun to watch, and to see how they recreated the vibe and structure of that show with the Gumball charm is really entertaining. Even if you're not familiar with it, you can still get entertained seeing the oddly cursed atmosphere of that world and laugh at all the jokes, as the humor in this episode is top notch too. And that climax is actually really dark and even scary for Gumball standards. The puppets don't pull any punches on the torture they want to inflict on Gumball and Darwin. So imagine what would happen to them if they didn't manage to escape. But either way, The Puppets is one of the best episodes in the show.
Wait, isn't this all imaginary?
Oh, good point.
This video is already over. Oftentimes, the season finales in this show are a perfect occasion for the creators to get more ambitious, to give a good final impression of each season to the viewers, so they will keep a good memory of this show while waiting for the next season. Even when it ends up lasting 6 fucking years of fake promises for a movie until we get a 7th season. Feel free to tell me what you think about these episodes too. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.
Bye-bye!